Hey guys, part 2 of Economizer video, Economizer training. I have an opportunity here today at a Home Depot. It's Thursday, a couple days after I sent out the other video, and just want to take advantage of it at a Home Depot store on a Lennox unit for the manager's office and the training room, or the break room. Complaint from the manager is that it's been doing this for 2 or 3 years, that in the spring and the fall, when it's cooler outside, it's always hot in the manager's office and the break room. Once it gets hotter outside, then the air conditioning seems to kick on, so they assume they have a problem with their thermostat. Thermostat was set at 50 degrees, 50 degrees for cooling when I got here today. Of course, by the time I got here today, the unit was cooling when I got to the roof. It was 70 degrees when I got here today, but it was 40 degrees this morning, and overcast and raining today. So, to show you what I found when I got here. First thing I saw when I opened the control box, everyone, when we talk about that first video I made, you guys can notice down here that we have a blue Y2 wire coming from the thermostat that's never been connected, and a blue Y2 wire on the unit. They both have wire nuts on them. Looks like it's been like this since the unit was installed. I'm going to turn this unit on. I've already done some of this testing, but just wanted to run you guys through it, take advantage here. Compressor comes on and runs. It's a single compressor, 5-ton Lennox unit with an economizer, the old school Lennox economizer hanging on the back. Unit gets about a 48 or 49 degree discharge temp with the compressor running, so it cools fine in mechanical cooling. So I came up, I got a call for both stages of cooling coming from the thermostat. I verified that downstairs. First thing I always do is I check the minimum position, and I've got the minimum position turned up all the way, and that should drive my actuator, which is kind of hidden on this unit. You know, linkage should be driving the dampers open, and nothing is happening here. So the first thing I typically check then is make sure I've got power. You guys can see this. I'm trying to go slow. I'm checking the TR and TR1 terminals on the logic module. As you can see on my meter, I got 26 volts, so the module has power to it, but we're still not getting any movement on the actuator. The next thing on a Lennox, you see they got a couple extra wires here, and they've got this relay, guys, on a Lennox. The relay is for night setback. It's they came out with that before thermostats did some of that stuff. But on a Lennox, I've got a couple jumpers I always have with me. I'm gonna I disconnected the P and P1, which is the minimum position for remote minimum position. If a customer wanted to use that, Lennox uses those terminals. Hardly anyone else does. I'm just gonna jumper the P to P1 on the module. This bypasses that relay, so I know if it's the relay that's keeping the actuator from running, or is it actually the actuator that's bad. As you can see, I'm still at full minimum position, and my actuator is still not driving. I have verified, guys, it's hard for me to get in here on the video, but I do have 24 volts on the actuator, on the TR and TR1 terminals down on the actuator. I've verified that. For the purposes of this video, I'm not gonna spend that couple minutes trying to get down in there. The next thing I want to show you is, so one last thing we can check. I don't know if we've got a bad logic module or if it's actually the actuator. We're slowly process of elimination here. So as you can see, the purple and blue wire here come from the enthalpy sensor to the actuator on the SO and plus terminals. I'm going to disconnect these two wires, drop them down here. I've got another jumper, like I told you guys or showed you in the video, and I'm going to connect to the SO and plus and jumper it on the front of the logic module. And when I do that, we should see the red light in the lower left corner of this module come on. That'll simulate that we're faking the module and the economizer into thinking that it's cold enough outside to economize right now for testing. You guys probably can't hear that, but I can hear the compressor clicking on and off while I'm trying to get this wire on there. Okay, you can see in the bottom left corner the OK to economize light has came on. The unit now thinks it's in economizer mode, and it should be driving the dampers open to the mixed air temp set point. It's still not trying to open the dampers. On a Lennox, the mixed air temp sensor is mounted in the side compartment, side of the economizer, into the discharge air. I've already tested it. It is a good mixed air temp sensor without cutting the wires apart again. So what I've determined on this unit, guys, by doing these tests, is that this actuator is bad on this economizer. So when this store calls for cooling, like this morning when it was 40 degrees out, thermostat's calling for air conditioning. Economizer is trying to economize, but the motor is bad, so it can never open the dampers, so the store never cools off until it gets warm enough outside that the economizer shuts off and says it's not okay to economize. Now there's one way to easily resolve it for today, and I want to show you guys why it's so important to have even with a unit with a single compressor, why you have to have both stages of cooling hooked up. So right now the unit's still on. It thinks it's okay to economize. The blower is running, compressor is not running, and I'm simply going to connect these two wires that were never connected. You guys can see this. I don't know if you guys heard that. The compressor just started. The compressor started when I connected the Y2 wire. So just like I showed you guys in that print, the Y2 signal for cooling, second stage call, is coming from the store up into the unit, into this blue wire, out through the harness. Second stage call goes into the logic module on, some of you guys probably remember this, terminal 3, comes out on terminal 5, which has a jumper to 2, and that is going back and starting the first stage compressor. So just wanted to run you guys through that. Quick little follow-up video on how to test and troubleshoot economizers. Again, as soon as I disconnect this jumper, the OK to economize light just shut off because it now knows that it's not OK to economize. I don't have the wires hooked up, but when I hook these back up, something to pay attention on here, guys, the SO and plus terminals on a Honeywell enthalpy sensor are polarity sensitive. So the SO from the logic module has to tie to the SO terminal on the enthalpy sensor. I know that I had purple on the left and blue on the right. Now you can see that the compressor remained running. It's basically running off the first stage call for cooling now. So anyway, that's a little quick training video. I wanted to show you guys this section of the wiring diagram. You see where these wires go out from the terminal strip. If you have a bypass plug, it bypasses and sends the cooling call back, but this is on pretty much every manufacturer's unit. They have an economizer wiring integrated into their unit. Shows you where the Y1 call goes out, where the Y1 call comes back, and the Y2 call comes back. You can follow it all in the electrical print. So happy hunting out there, guys, and let's go fix us some economizers.